Y'all thought that road trip was the whole story? Girl, please, that was just the warm-up. The gates have finally opened, the engines are screaming, and the biggest, baddest car fight has officially begun. This season, it's not about delivering a package anymore. It's about fighting to the death in Calypso's deadly game. The prize? One single wish, granted by the puppet master himself, and you know his wishes never come without a catch. So buckle up for a full breakdown of all the car-on-car chaos, because this is Twisted Metal Season 2. So remember how last season you were probably wondering why Raven was so obsessed with getting John to drive for her? Well, now we know, and it's a gut punch. If you haven't caught up on Season 1, check my page. The show reveals that the Raven we saw in Season 1 was just a figurehead. The real Raven is the one pulling the strings, and her entire motivation stems from a tragic event back in 1998. In a prank gone wrong, her best friend Kelly was left paralyzed and comatose. Raven's life essentially stopped that day, and her singular goal is to win the wish from Calypso to save Kelly. Her mission is personal and rooted in a desperate kind of love, which adds a whole new layer to her character. John Doe's life is a total drag. He's a prisoner forced to train on a twisted metal arcade machine and drive deliveries under the hilariously pathetic alias John Doe. But John's not one to sit still. He finds a secret map hidden inside a hollowed-out Babysitter's Club book, of all things, and with the help of a very not-so-smart guard, he makes his escape. He steals an ambulance, thinking it's the perfect getaway vehicle because Kelly is inside, and it works. But plot twist, he left Kelly behind. Before they can realize, John is long gone. His freedom doesn't last long, though. He's caught by the Dulls, who flip the ambulance. John is not happy when a shot rings out, hitting him in the shoulder, and he discovers it was Quiet who took the shot. Turns out, Quiet has been living with the Dulls for 7 months and has become a lieutenant for the gang. Their leader is Krista, who is also John's long-lost sister. They have an extreme knack for violence and want to bring social equality by tearing down the city walls. But Quiet suggests a smarter, less violent path. Win Calypso's tournament and use the wish to get rid of the walls forever. And what about Sweet Tooth? The roach is still alive and well, with Stu as his reluctant sidekick. The two are on the hunt for the biggest and baddest killers in the wasteland. Their search leads them to Big Baby, a massive man with a weapon made from an umbilical cord, which is just as creepy as it sounds. They manage to take him down, only to find out there's someone even worse, the Trash Man. Stu, tired of chasing down every killer in this wasteland, hatches a better plan. Why hunt them down one by one, when Calypso's tournament can bring all the most lethal killers right to them? It's a killer-on-killer, winner-takes-all bloodbath, and it's exactly what Sweet Tooth wants. Krista is finally face-to-face with her long-lost brother, John. It's a bittersweet moment, to say the least. Krista, who's been looking for him for a decade, is ecstatic. But John, who lost his memory after the apocalypse, feels absolutely nothing. He has no recollection of this woman, or the brotherly love they once shared. This reunion is everything she hoped for, and nothing he understands. The show hits on the painful irony of her finding him, only to realize he's a stranger now. A flashback shows us Krista's origin story, and it's awesome. 10 years ago, she and her boyfriend crashed a high-level gangster meeting. The boss, a guy named Boxer, immediately sends her to the women's tent. But inside, she learns the women are the ones who actually run the business and do the work, while the men goof off and take all the credit. This enrages Krista, who rallies all the women against the men. They take over the operation, and the doll gang is born. The gang is made up of women who were liberated from abusive institutions, adding a layer of purpose to their violent, doll-masked crusade. With the family reunion being a total bust, Quiet tries to ease the tension by showing John her souped-up roadkill car. But John is still reeling from all the new info, especially Quiet's commitment to her new team. He's totally against her joining the tournament, which he sees as a bloodthirsty battle royale. But Quiet is resolute. She's found a new family and a new purpose, and she's ready to fight for them. While leaving the camp, Quiet spots a suspicious girl and chains her to a tree, leaving her hatchet as a taunt. The girl, who calls herself Mayhem, is a stowaway trying to steal supplies. John, still not giving up on his goal of stopping Quiet, storms into his sister's tent and tries to convince her to get Quiet to back out. Krista says the only way to get Quiet off the tournament list is to beat her in a race, so a preliminary showdown is set. John, Quiet, and 2 other contenders, Ashley and Jeremy, face off. The race is brutal and ends with a narrow victory for Quiet, but she crashes her car. Even though John lost the race, he finally understands Quiet's new conviction. He realizes he underestimated her, and in a heartfelt conversation, she invites him to join her in the tournament. He readily agrees, and the two are a team once again. The next challenge comes when they find that Mayhem has escaped her chains. They track her down but are ambushed by 2 vultures dressed like cave people. John and Quiet quickly dispatch them and bring Mayhem back to camp. With the team reunited and their mission set, Krista begins preparations for the next stage of their plan, a trip to Diesel City to get some high-end vehicle upgrades. And far away, in the cold walls of Blackfield Prison, a man named Mr. Grimm receives a letter inviting him to come out and drive. It's clear that the tournament is about to get even crazier. We finally get a proper introduction to Mr. Grimm, and it's as unsettling as you'd expect. The man visits his father's gravesite, but instead of a moment of solemn remembrance, he bludgeons a grave robber to death and consumes the dead man's essence and personality before digging up his own buried motorcycle and riding off into the distance. It's clear this guy isn't just a killer. This is some supernatural stuff. En route to Diesel City, Quiet pushes John to reconnect with his sister, but when he hesitates, she tricks him out of the car, leaving him no choice but to hitch a ride with Krista instead. Krista takes a detour to the Millennium Drive-In, an abandoned theater that was once John's favorite place. She desperately tries to jog his memories by whistling their family tune and recounting old stories, but it's no use. For John, the place doesn't feel like home. It feels cursed, and he is super scared of ghosts. His paranoia is proved right, as a mysterious figure is secretly watching them. Quiet has a surprise in her trunk. Mayhem, the girl, who's still a terrible liar, claims to be the best driver around and wants to enter the competition. Quiet, knowing this is a lie, gives her a shot at the car. Their dynamic slowly shifts from a veteran and rookie dynamic to a mentor-protege relationship. Mayhem repeatedly fails to perfect a reverse curve maneuver, but Quiet keeps pushing her to master it, knowing that's a crucial skill for survival in this world. Things go from bad to worse for John and Krista when the drive-in is suddenly surrounded by electrical fences. Explosions light up the abandoned cars, and they're ambushed by a menacing figure, a human-car hybrid. The man is driving a mechanical platform with large tires and firing a barrage of bullets at them. In a moment of panic, John shoots at the man, but the bullet deflects and grazes Krista's cheek. The duo hides in a car and barely escapes. They wait for a moment, and the man mysteriously starts guzzling diesel before falling asleep. Sensing their chance, John and Krista head into a building to turn off the fence. They discover a lab filled with experiments and are ambushed by a scientist who created the man outside, named Axel. The scientist explains that Axel is his latest project, an attempt at a true human-vehicle hybrid, and with Krista now captured, he can perfect it on them. But before he can finish his monologue, Krista throws the scientist to his death. Then they realize Axel is a victim, not a monster, and they make peace with him. More trouble brews as Jeremy and Ashley, who were scouting for food, are attacked by Mr. Grimm, who's on his motorcycle. Quiet and Mayhem witness Jeremy's death and see Grimm's terrifying ability to consume souls. When he makes them his next target, Mayhem finally nails the reverse curve maneuver and speeds away. But Grimm gives chase, and the cat-and-mouse chase only ends with the arrival of Axel, who challenges Grimm head-on. With the threat behind them for now, Quiet and Mayhem reunite with John and Krista. They deliver the sad news about their fallen teammates. Jeremy and Ashley are buried, with Krista vowing to carry their spirits forward. The team is now a leaner 4 members: John, Quiet, Krista, and Mayhem. They make their way to Diesel City, ready to steal the best upgrades they can find. The crew splits up for a classic heist in Diesel City. The whole place is a walking, talking paradox, a fortress of commerce with a strict non-violence policy enforced by sniper guards. Oh, the irony. John and Quiet try to blend in with the high-class insiders, while Dollface and Mayhem handle things from the shadows. John and Quiet are mesmerized by the sheer scale of the city, but it's just a perversion of normal life. They manage to steal ID badges with Mayhem's help, only to find they have company. Sweet Tooth and Stu are there too, but their teamwork is falling apart. Sweet Tooth is completely useless, blowing all their money on a ridiculous cloak while Stu spirals, trying to keep them on task. Inside the inner sanctum, John learns the disgusting truth. The city's elites committed genocide against outsiders using a weapon called napalm cones. This news hardens his resolve completely. The mission is no longer just a heist. It's a righteous quest to tear down the walls and make the rich pay for their crimes. Stu's day goes from bad to worse. After their cash is gone, he gets picked up and forced into the Emperor's twisted, outsider-themed orgy. The elites fetishize outsiders like him in a disgusting display of power. John and Quiet get roped into it too, and are forced to strip and roleplay in dirty rags. This vile display gives them the perfect opening to slip away to the vault, where the high-end weapons are kept. While they navigate lasers and guards, Dollface and Sweet Tooth are causing chaos of their own. The two briefly team up to wipe out the guards and storm the security station, where they uncover a prize beyond measure: an EMP generator powerful enough to shut down every electrical network in the city, a true race ender. But their alliance collapses just as quickly as it began, with Dollface smashing Sweet Tooth's face into the console long enough to crash open the vault doors. It's perfect timing for John and Quiet, except instead of grabbing weapons right away, the two had gotten carried away having sex, accidentally setting off a fire in the vault, which leaves the door wide open for Stu to clean house, stealing every last weapon inside. By the time John and Quiet come to their senses, everything's gone. The weapons, their clothes, their dignity, and all they can do is flee in shame. Stu, now armed to the teeth, finally embraces his inner murderous rage. He completely turns on the Emperor and his elites, killing every last one of them, while Dollface makes off with the EMP, naming her stolen quad bike Kit Kat, and leaving Sweet Tooth in a rage that spills into the main bazaar, where he sparks a full riot once people realize the guards are gone. In the end, everyone makes it out of Diesel City in one piece. Stu reunites with Sweet Tooth, who couldn't be prouder of his protege's new bloodthirsty streak. That night, Dollface reveals her master plan. She's entering the race too. John and Quiet will take the lead, drawing the heat, while Dollface hangs back with the EMP. When the time is right, she'll flip the switch, frying every other car in one fell swoop. The Calypso compound is buzzing with energy as the tournament kicks off, and it's a who's who of the weird and dangerous. All the familiar faces are here, including Axel, who somehow survived the last showdown with Mr. Grimm. Dollface cannot help but flirt with him, and not even the fact that gasoline is his food seems to kill the vibe. Dollface will be racing with her new quad bike, leaving her car to be driven by the eager, but maybe not ready Mayhem. It is a series of bizarre reunions and introductions. First, John and Quiet run into two members of the Holy Men cult. They're here for revenge, but in a twist you can't make up, they claim their dead leader, Preacher Jebediah, has been reincarnated and now inhabits the body of an infant. The two cult members, Deacon and Benjamin, are acting like doting parents to this truly unsettling baby who somehow shares the preacher's unhinged characteristics. Then, the clowns arrive. Stu and Sweet Tooth make their grand entrance, and the murderous clown instantly spots John and Quiet, charging toward them like an excited fan. Stu, however, keeps his distance, still bitter about being abandoned during the orgy. While all these were happening, Mayhem is already stirring the pot, spreading lies and turning players against each other. She sets up a rivalry between Deacon and Vermin, and then cleverly redirects Deacon's anger toward Sweet Tooth. It's a masterclass in manipulation to thin out the herd. Stu, on the other hand, gets blindsided by a different kind of reunion. His best friend Mike, who he thought was long dead, is alive. Mike survived Sweet Tooth's attack and was even caught by cannibals, but he used his inspiring words, "A man never eats a man," to reform one of them, Dave, who is now his best friend and teammate. This is some next-level weird. Their joyful reunion is cut short when Sweet Tooth shows up, and Mike is horrified to learn that Stu is now his partner. To top it all off, Mr. Grimm arrives, and Sweet Tooth immediately loses it. A furious exchange reveals a personal history. Sweet Tooth was the one who locked Grimm up. Grimm, in return, calls Sweet Tooth Marcus and taunts him with his power to consume souls, hitting at the clown's deepest insecurities. This leaves Sweet Tooth boiling with rage, opening a door to his past, while Stu is more curious than scared. Finally, Raven arrives, having taken on John's mantle, much to his annoyance. The stage is set. With a dramatic countdown and a solar eclipse, Calypso makes his grand appearance. The rules are simple: deliver a package and survive. The second the doors open, the race devolves into a bloodbath. John, Quiet, and Dollface get an early lead, but chaos erupts behind them. Mayhem is already sidelined after Quiet sabotaged her car, only for her to commandeer a different vehicle from a dead driver and re-enter the fray. Sweet Tooth immediately ignores the objective, putting all his focus on killing Grimm, and in the frenzy, one of his grenades blasts the Holy Men's car to pieces. The fate of the baby is left unclear, but knowing this show, it's likely still alive, serving as a bizarre antithesis to John's character. A brutal twist shakes things further. Any package that takes 2 hits is instantly disqualified and triggers an airstrike. This spells trouble for John and Quiet, who've already taken 1 hit. The same goes for Sweet Tooth and Stu, which means the next mistake could end them. Faced with certain doom, Stu betrays his partner, taking control of the wheel and eyeing the win. At the same time, Mayhem is attacked, and John and Quiet make a split-second decision to sacrifice their own spot in the race and U-turn to save her. John and Quiet manage to help Mayhem survive the attacks, with Quiet even killing Billy Ray Stillwell with a well-aimed axe to the head. They succeed in their mission, and Raven crosses the finish line first, securing her spot in the main tournament. With more cars advancing, John and Quiet decide it's time to execute the master plan. Krista would use the EMP stolen from Diesel City to knock out a huge chunk of the competition. But the plan goes horribly wrong. The EMP doesn't go off. In that moment of confusion, Krista is attacked by Mr. Grimm and another competitor. Her doll-face mask is knocked off, and she's struck by a harpoon, falling to the ground. She sees her friends far ahead, knowing there's no way for her to survive. In a final, heartbreaking act of sacrifice for her friends and her brother, Krista shoots her own package. The missile launched to eliminate her also takes out her attackers. The scene is powerful. Krista's empty ATV slowly rolls across the finish line, with her doll-face mask dangling from the handlebars. It's a clear, symbolic signal to everyone, including John, Quiet, and Mayhem, that she is gone. The show, however, doesn't show her dead body, which gives a hint that she might have survived and could return later. The tournament has an ironically bizarre set of rules. The vicious, lawless racers are all cooped up on a small bus, taken to hotels, and given official transport, which is clearly for comedic effect. It also shows a lot about Calypso's character. He's a control freak, a showman who has a desire to exert control over chaos. He reminds everyone that despite all the killing, they are not outlanders, and still have to follow his civil and moral codes. The racers can kill each other in the different rounds of the tournament, but they can't do so during downtime, or they will be immediately eliminated. We also get a glimpse into Calypso's past, revealing that he has been a self-obsessed man for a very long time. The first time John met him, he was working as a milkman, and came across Calypso, who was a self-obsessed man who graffitied his own name everywhere. We learn that Calypso has had the ability to grant wishes for a very long time, and has always yearned to be famous and revered. He used his abilities to leave cans of beer for John, knowing that it would be a magical memory he would never forget and would tell others about. Calypso's desire to be known and revered has only grown from then on, with him now organizing the Twisted Metal tournament to spread awareness about himself as a powerful creative man. Before the next round, Calypso asks each team to turn in their wishes. Each team gets one wish, meaning if there are multiple individuals, they have to decide on just one. Quiet is clear about what she wants. She wishes for the eradication of all walls and all social divides. It's a great wish, and John lets her make it. They leave the wishing room, forgetting Krista's mask, which they carried with them. John goes back to get it, and now he's alone in the room with the wishing well. Seeing Krista's mask, he can't help himself. He makes his own wish, to bring Krista back to life. This impulsive act creates a massive problem for the team, as they have now made 2 wishes, a huge violation of the tournament's rules. This is going to come back to haunt them, in a very big way. The next round of the race is a cruel scavenger hunt. Drivers have to enter a specific area and find one of 8 exit passes hidden inside buildings. As always, the stakes are brutal. If you try to cross the finish line without a pass, you're dead. The games begin, and it's every person for themselves. Mayhem has another run-in with her nemesis, Chucky Floop. She finds a building with a pass, but Chucky is already inside. As is his habit, he starts to patronize her, treating her like a joke because of her age. But he seriously underestimates her. In a moment of pure catharsis, Mayhem is revealed to be surprisingly good in a fight, and she pushes Chucky out a window, not only getting the pass but also killing him. The man's body lands on her car, totaling it. So Mayhem has to take Chucky's car to exit, and in a hilarious twist, she immediately falls in love with it. The car has an AI assistant that can drive itself, which is a perfect match for her since she's a terrible driver. Other competitors also advance. Raven, Axel, and Vermin all manage to get a pass, and Mr. Grimm makes it to the finish line in a very grim way. He finds a loophole by riding his motorbike straight into Sweet Tooth and Stu's ice cream truck, catching them by surprise. We also see that Stu is clearly having second thoughts about partnering with a murderous clown, and seems to want to reunite with his old friend Mike, which is sure to become a major subplot. Calypso gave John and Quiet a major advantage since they finished dead last in the preliminary race, which pissed off Raven. After all, if anyone deserved an advantage, it should have been her for finishing first. But Calypso didn't care. They got a 1-minute head start and a tracker for the passes, but it doesn't even matter. John is completely distracted by his own guilt, consumed by the lie he's keeping from Quiet about his secret wish. He keeps messing up as a driver and a navigator. They only survive the round by sheer luck, as they have a showdown with the Holy Men. The cultists try to attack them with a ricochet bomb, which just so happens to be a weapon they had stolen from John earlier. The bomb bounces back and obliterates them. The baby, who is holding on to the last pass, miraculously survives. This means John and Quiet now have a passenger. They manage to survive the round, but Quiet, now frustrated with their terrible performance, admits they need to do better. This is the final push John needs to finally confess that he made a different, secret wish. After his confession, there's some serious drama between John and Quiet. They have their first major blow-up in the gym, and it's a doozy. Quiet is furious, not just because John chose to protect his sister over a bigger social cause, but because he didn't trust her enough to even talk about it. She sees it as a complete breakdown of trust, so much so that she tells him they can't be a couple or even teammates anymore. John, feeling gutted after Quiet calls his wish selfish, walks out first, leaving a huge rift between them. Of course, in a competition like this, gossip spreads like wildfire. The other racers catch wind of their fight, and, in true competitive fashion, pretend to be concerned, while really just looking for an advantage. To make things worse, Calypso announces that the next round has already started, and it's a surprise elimination. An incredibly violent gang called Apocalypse 9 has entered the facility, and they are allowed to attack and kill the racers. These guys are a total nightmare. They don't feel pain, and are incredibly tough to take down. The timing is perfect, or rather perfectly awful, because everyone left their weapons in their cars. The racers are left with nothing but their bare hands and their wits. The first to go is Frostbite, who meets a gruesome end. It was a hard watch, not gonna lie. Quiet is almost next, but Raven saves her. This desperate situation forces them to team up with Vermin. Raven and Vermin quickly become a much-needed support system, talking sense into Quiet. Raven even reveals that John tried to escape from her 15 times just to get back to Quiet, showing just how much he cares, even if he didn't express it well. John has teamed up with Mayhem. His initial goal is just to keep her safe, but her quick thinking actually helps them take down one of the gangsters, proving they can work well together. This whole elimination round is clearly Calypso's twisted way of forcing the racers to band together. The most obvious person to end the chaos, Sweet Tooth, is busy with his own drama. He's talking to a doctor who delivers some shocking news. He's sterile. Instead of being upset, Sweet Tooth sees it as a chance for rebellion and decides to adopt Stu. A bizarre but fitting character moment. The only other person reckless enough to take on the gang is Axel. He's normally a beast in a fight, but he's having a terrible time because he can't get to his daily dose of gas, which is what gives him his superhuman strength. He manages to survive long enough to find Stu, Mike, and Dave, who've barricaded themselves in a room. Dazed and weak, he tells them he has no strength without his gas. This is where things get really interesting. Dave decides it's time for a therapy session, which uncovers Axel's tragic backstory. We learn that his life took a dark turn after his wife ran off with his own father. He became a contract killer, but he had one rule: no hurting kids. This principle was tested when a mission required him to kill everyone in a house, including a baby. Axel couldn't do it. Knowing his contractors would come after him, he fled with the baby and settled in a garage, developing genuine fatherly feelings for her. But tragedy struck again when raiders stole the baby. In his desperation to find her, he met Dr. Zemu, the racist scientist who promised to help him in exchange for undergoing an experiment to turn him into a car. But we know what happened after that. He was kept hostage, till John and Quiet freed him. All he had during his captivity was his gasoline, and he has gotten dependent on them. The therapy session with Dave works. Axel regains his sense of self, and finally kicks the gas dependency. What follows is pure carnage. Axel goes berserk, slaughtering the entire Apocalypse 9 crew with his bare hands and saving the racers. In a nasty little twist, some of the blood splashes onto Dave's face, and he tastes it. Looks like his cannibalistic tendencies might be making a comeback. This dude Dave was supposedly reformed, right? Living a normal life. But we all knew that was too good to be true. Stu, bless his oblivious heart, makes a joke about Dave's past at a surprise party organized by Calypso, and that's all it takes for Dave's mask to slip. He storms off, acting all moody, which is a big red flag right there. Stu, trying to be a good friend, follows him to apologize, and what does he find? Dave having a midnight snack. And by snack, I mean feasting on the mutilated bodies of the Apocalypse 9 gang. Yikes. So much for reformed. Dave then drops the act, revealing this is his real identity. Not only has he been secretly munching on people, but he was probably grooming Mike to be his next meal. Stu, being a decent guy, wants to help, but Dave isn't having it. He's not just a cannibal, he's a possessive one. He tries to kill Stu to keep his secret safe. Thankfully, Stu survives, thanks to a stroke of pure, dumb luck. Stu then frames it as a suicide to protect himself. Smart move. Now the question is, what happens with Stu and Sweet Tooth? Sweet Tooth seems to have adopted Stu, but Stu's tired of him, and seems to only be his happy self when he's with Mike. Looks like Stu and Mike might become a team soon, but will Sweet Tooth just let his new son go? I highly doubt it. Next up, we have Axel and Mayhem. This is a genuinely touching moment in all the chaos. Axel, a hitman, spots Mayhem with a familiar piece of cloth as Mayhem ties her hair and realizes it's the same one from the blanket he found with the baby he mentally adopted years ago. Mayhem doesn't know the backstory, but Axel's heart is clearly in it now. He's looking at her all night with that, "That's my baby" look. This revelation is a total game changer. It means Axel, the guy who gave up everything for this kid, is now in a competition with her. There's no way he's going to compete against her. He's absolutely going to sacrifice himself to protect her. No questions asked. The question is when. Finally, we have John and Quiet. These two were just going through it, but they made up, and Calypso, the ultimate puppet master, gives them a second chance at the wishing well. John takes back his wish, so they're back to fighting for social equality and the removal of walls. They get all romantic at the party, dancing and being lovey-dovey. It's so sweet it even makes Raven feel a little mushy, revealing her romantic feelings for Kelly and confirming she's a lesbian. This is a nice little side note, a rare moment of genuine, non-toxic emotion in this whole twisted game. But of course, this is Calypso we're talking about. The romantic scene was just a setup. A toxic gas fills the room, and everyone passes out. When John and Quiet wake up, they're in different cars, facing the worst possible scenario, teammate against teammate. The whole one racer from each team will continue rule is designed to break bonds, and after that big romantic reunion, I have a bad feeling about this. They better not kill Quiet off after that beautiful dance. Don't play with my heart like that. It's immediately clear that Calypso lied about John's wish being taken back as John and Quiet are split up, each in their own identical roadkill. This is a targeted hit job where each of the 6 racers has one person to take out. But first, the other 4 racers, Sweet Tooth, Stu, Mike, and Mr. Grimm, are held for a bizarre impromptu trial. The topic is Dave's death, and with Stu's terrible acting, it's obvious he did it. But he somehow manages to convince everyone that Dave's death was ultimately self-inflicted. Mike, who suspected Dave's cannibalism returned after seeing a finger on his bed, gets stabbed by Calypso for his silence, a cruel reminder of what could have been. Then there's Mr. Grimm, accused of murdering Sweet Tooth's beloved paper bag friend, Mr. Harold. It's totally ridiculous, but Calypso indulges the clown, who decides to let Grimm live so he can crush him at the competition. The price? All of Grimm's consumed souls are stripped away. Stu, after all this, finally decides to team up with his best friend Mike, and Sweet Tooth accepts, comparing their bond to his beloved Harold. In the race, Raven quickly takes out Vermin. Mayhem struggles to deal with her target, Raven, who has a superior car with electromagnetic weapons. John has it rough, but it's nothing compared to the shock of discovering Axel's target is Quiet. But Quiet is in the worst spot of all, because her target is Mayhem, who she now sees as family. Then, during the chaos of a raging electrical storm, things get real. Raven, already qualified, still decides to kill people. She fires an electromagnetic pulse at John. He and Quiet dodge it, but it hits Mayhem's car, wrecking it completely. John and Quiet jump out to help her, and Raven sees this as the perfect chance to take them all out. But just as she's about to fire another pulse, Axel jumps in the way, sacrificing himself to save them. As he's dying, he tells them to take care of Mayhem. Mayhem survives, ends up in the infirmary, and the truth of her wish comes out. She never wanted power or riches, just a place to belong. With Papa Bear and Mama Bear, John and Quiet at her side, she finally has it. But when she sneaks around Calypso Lab, she spots his big secret weapon for the final round, a robotic killer called Minion. She tries to warn her friends, but she overhears them talking about leaving her behind for her own safety, and misinterprets it as betrayal. Feeling hurt, she tries to escape, but Calypso catches her and forces her to watch the final round from his side. In the final round, it's a brutal death rumble. John, Quiet, Sweet Tooth, Raven, Stu, Mike, and Grimm all thrown into a battle arena. Last driver standing wins. Simple as that. Only it's not so simple, because the whole thing has been broadcasted the entire time. Cities, wastelands, everyone's been watching, cheering, hating, all feeding Calypso's ego as the great unifier. Mike is the first to go, which shocks Stu so much he crashes their car. Raven shields herself with an electromagnetic bubble, cheats her way past Sweet Tooth's bombs, but Calypso uses his powers to fry it, and she's killed by a ricochet bomb from John. Grimm loses his bike and gets dragged into a brutal fight with Sweet Tooth, which ends with the clown standing tall for a moment. Because then Calypso's trump card drops, Minion. The robot tears into the arena, killing Sweet Tooth first in a spectacle worthy of his twisted fanbase. John and Quiet are next on the chopping block. Mayhem, watching from Calypso's throne, pretends she doesn't care, until John gets nearly killed. Quiet launches her car at the Minion, seemingly destroying it, which simultaneously eliminates her from the game. That's the breaking point for Mayhem. She turns on Calypso, takes down his guard, hijacks Sweet Tooth's truck, and helps Quiet bring John back from the brink with a makeshift CPR machine. For a brief moment, it looks like the tournament ends without a winner. But then, plot twist, Stu is alive. Turns out he only blacked out. His car still works, so technically, he's the last man standing. Stu, the underdog no one took seriously, wins. His wish? A quiet life with Mike, far from all this madness. And Calypso delivers, in the most twisted way possible. Stu wakes up in space, an unwilling astronaut, floating in a capsule with Mike's dead body with him. That's his piece. As for John, Quiet, and Mayhem, they retreat to John's family cabin, finally feeling like a family. The place even runs on solar, so for a moment, it's peace. But peace doesn't last. Calypso appears on every TV, blaming them for the explosion he caused at the tournament, painting them as mass murderers. The cities want revenge. And worse, Minion finds them again, revealed to be none other than Krista, twisted into a machine. They escape with the crucial help of Stu, who has somehow returned from space as a trained hitman. The season ends with the new team joining forces to take down Calypso once and for all. While we all thought that was the end of Sweet Tooth, turns out, not quite. In the post-credit scene, he's shown being dragged off by an outsider straight into Sovereign City. And if that wasn't enough, a quick shot of the scientist's lab hints Axel might still be alive. All in all, it was a solid season. In a way, everybody kinda got their wish. The hunt for Quiet and John ended up bringing down the walls between the cities and the outsiders, even if it's only because they're united against her crew. John got his sister back, and the fact that Krista responded to his whistle makes it feel like she's not completely gone. With her weakness revealed, maybe some tweaking could bring Krista back for real. And remember, technically no one was ever supposed to survive the Twisted Metal competition. That's why Calypso framed them in the first place. But the joke's on him, because more of them made it out than he ever expected. Funny enough, I was bracing for a major death this season, but none of the OGs actually went down. What about you? What did you think of the season? Drop your thoughts in the comments.